are terribly sorry that last week we did not record. JJ and myself were both sick. JJ had rheumatic fever, and I had the Black Plague.
And he
So,
still wanted to do it. He still wanted to come on. I said, no, Vince, no. You're only a man. You're only human. Take a week. Get back into your old 100%.
uh, our last recording 2 weeks ago, my energy level was down, so I wasn't feeling good then. And then I came down with a bad case of bronchitis. And I'm still kind of in that recovery phase. I'm not sick, but I'm still coughing up a lot of
Yeah.
phlegm, which is one of the worst words in
Yes.
the English language to say. So that was my issue. What was wrong with you?
Well, 3 weeks ago, COVID. Then I got pneumonia, and my whole family had the flu, but I wore a mask and just carried on. But I come in from work sometimes. I go to bed at 7:30. I just been sleeping. A lot of stuff going around. A lot of families I know, they've got two or three people sick. So there's something going on. And we just, I got my flu shot. I've had my COVID shot. So it just happened anyway. But that happens sometimes. And I'm a nurse. I'm around a lot of sick folks. So I'm drawing blood and they're coughing on me and stuff. So it happens usually in the wintertime for me.
Yeah. Well, I'm an opper, so I'm around a lot of sick folks. Maybe
Hitting those high notes. Yeah.
different kind of sickness. So make sure that you do like us on Facebook. Those of you who are watching us on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to our channel so you can have our information as soon as it drops. So if we do have to miss a week because of illness, you can look at it and say, hey, nothing dropped. I guess they're clinging to life or something. If you want to contact us, you can always contact us through DMing us or leaving a comment somewhere on one of our things. Or you can go to one card, one cup, one beer at gmail.com, send us an email. You can support our efforts through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com, search for one card, one cup, one beer, and you can find us and you can support our efforts. And all of your support is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to be a guest on our show, if you have an interesting baseball related topic that you're an expert on, if you just look good in your Seattle Pilots garb and want to be seen on the internet, let us know. We'd love to have you on the show. Um, JJ, this is pretty cool because this is like our last episode before spring training starts,
I
and
know what's coming.
I'm pretty excited about that. But before we get to that, we wouldn't be a sports related show if I didn't ask you, what are you doing for the Super Bowl?
Well, I kind of boycotted football for a while because I was a diehard football Cardinal fan. And when they left, it ripped my heart out. And then we get the Rams, and I said, nope, not watching them. And then all of a sudden, I started peeking over, and I became a fan, and they left town. And so a lot of people I know are big Kansas City Chief fans and just football fans. Me and Brody's going to be working that day. They switched him to midnight, so won't get to watch it with him. But I may go up to a friend's house, but usually Faith makes manicotti,
Hmm.
or yeah, or I may go up and see a friend. And my friend Troy Lou, hope you get feeling better, Troy. He's got 100-inch television. It takes up a whole wall now. I got to see this TV. So I said, come and watch the Super Bowl at my house. He's got 100-inch television. It's gigantic.
All right, let me make a note of this. I'm going to Troy's house for the Super Bowl. So,
Yeah,
okay, my TV is 58 inches. Of
that's
course,
enough. That's enough TV for anybody.
yeah, 100 inches. My house is old, so my rooms are small. So, 58 seems imposing. If I went to a house with a 100-inch TV, I might get scared. I don't know.
I don't know. When they're eating Doritos during the commercials, it just takes the room.
So, who are you rooting for? Are you wanting the Chiefs to three-peat?
I think the odds the last I saw was Chiefs giving 2 points to the Eagles. I would take that. I would take the Eagles and 2 points because Chiefs have been playing close games all year. Put a few bucks on it, and I'll take those 2 points in the Eagles because the Eagles, I just think, great offensive line. They run the ball. Um, It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. Can Mahomes magic go one more time? I don't know. This is going to be a tough one. Nobody's ever three-peated.
Now, I hate giving praise to a guy who uh, coached the Rams into the
Yeah.
ground when
Uh-huh.
Steve Spagnuolo was our head coach when the Rams were in St. Louis and he was terrible. But by golly, it seems like every game he will come crunch time, he knows exactly what to dial up. He like just saves it, just saves it, and then the second half of the fourth quarter, it's all these different kinds of pass rushes, pressure from cornerbacks, and just stuff that he hadn't shown his cards yet. And it you would think teams would be like, oh, we're ready for that, but they're not. And they just have this ability to shut teams down in the fourth quarter. But I mean, I hate to say this because people think I'm just a bandwagon jumper, but in '88, the first year that the football Cardinals left St. Louis, I was a football Cardinals fan. I moved to Kansas City and I just instantly became a Chiefs fan because my team left. The Chiefs were here. I'm in town. And it's Kansas City is a football town, whereas St. Louis is a baseball town. So people who move to St. Louis, a lot of them will become Cardinal fans because the atmosphere is so overwhelming to be a Cardinal fan. You move to Kansas City, it's that way with the Chiefs. It's like, you're not going, yeah, I'm still voting for the Raiders. No, that doesn't fly in Kansas City. So
No, great fan base, great history. It's just one of the pillars of the NFL, and it's good to see that because from the Hank Stram years to the Andy Reid years, they had some good teams and came close a couple times. But it's good to they held tight with their team and they just love their team and they got great players. And like you said, some players like Spagnolia, maybe some people are just better as a coordinator and not a head coach.
yeah, yeah.
That happens. And good. And Andy Reid, he's paid his dues, man, with the Eagles. It's Andy Reid Bowl 2. And they got some great players too, and both get great fan bases. Although I think I'd have a better chance of not getting beat up if I went to Kansas City or Philadelphia. I might be in trouble.
A little worried about what goes on in Philly. All right. Oh, because we were out last week, I missed the doing the January beer corner. So I will do two beer
Ooh.
corners in February. So this
Oh,
is the first one.
oh,
And
I'm
I did
excited.
something different. Kathy and I, we went to Aldi's for groceries. Now, those of you who are not from the Midwest and are not familiar, because I have talked to people who have no idea what Aldi's is, it's a discount grocery store. Um, Whereas your big stores have huge things. They're about a third of the size of a regular chain grocery store. And they have a lot of off-brand items. So they have beer there. So I thought, I'm I'm going to do a beer corner with an Aldi beer. So I picked one
Okay.
out based strictly on the label, I will say.
I
This
understand.
was a huge mistake.
Uh-oh.
You can't find information very easily on Aldi type beer. Aldi brand, they're
I,
not Aldi brands. These are companies that Aldi contracts with, has exclusive contracts with, but they're hard to find. So I picked up Wild Range Brewing Company IPA from
oh,
Aldi.
I like the label.
Yeah, that's why I chose it. Cool
Yeah,
label,
pretty cool.
wings. I
Gonna
mean,
do tricks.
yeah. So this is all I could find on this. And I had to go to Reddit to find it. I mean,
Man.
there's no website or anything. So I do know that this is brewed in upstate New York. And best I can tell, they started brewing it in 2015 as a local brew. And as fate would have it, they contracted with Aldi. So it's a discount beer that's like a local IPA that is now sold all over the Aldis. To give you an idea, usually in St. Louis, an IPA is going to run you for six pack, about $11, $12. This was $7.99, so you get it cheap. Um, I did find this whenever I was looking on Reddit. This is Aldi's competition for Voodoo Ranger IPA, which is a very popular IPA, which is one of that's on my list that I want to do here. And that's sold throughout the Midwest and probably coast to coast. Um, but that's all I could find on it. So who knows what it's going to taste like?
Yeah. You got to tell us, is it a little like this or a little like that?
World's best grandpa mug,
Right
frosted mug,
there,
of course.
defending champion.
And let's pour this cheap IPA from Aldi's.
Smells good from here.
Now, got a nice color, nice amber color, and
Oh
nice.
yeah, it looks like it's
So
good in a commercial.
let's see what we got here.
All right, I'm excited about this. Oh,
2.5.
2.5.
Not bad, not undrinkable. Um, the aftertaste is kind of cinnamony,
Oh
a little bit too cinnamony, I guess
yeah,
you could say. It's got a good, the first going through the mouth, the first taste you taste it, that tastes like a pretty good IPA. I not too hot on the aftertaste, so that knocks it down from like a 3 to a 2.5 for me. But cool label.
I like that. I really do. Good. And would that be something you might get again, or once is enough kind of thing?
I have 5 left because I did buy a 6 pack, so this will probably end up being held into the spring when I break out my barbecue.
And you cook with beer too, don't you?
Yeah, I cook a lot with beer, so there you go.
Well,
But anyway,
Vince, while you're enjoying your beer, Christmas came early. Look what came here. Oh, what's this, huh? Got a box, huh? What could be in that box? Well, our
my,
good friend,
my belt, my belt, my
your
belt.
belt, our friend, and hey, I got a lot of people commenting. They really enjoyed. They said that was a great interview, and they really enjoyed Will talking about his business. But he sent me a card first off and a sticker, card belts. Remember, if you want one of these card belts, check them out. But a very classy handwritten letter to me, thanking me for him coming on the show and purchasing one of his belts. So, Vince, without further ado, I wrote down everybody who was on here, but I don't have my list. But look at this. It's a Cubs belt. There is the buckle right there. And I'm looking here. I'm trying to determine that. I think that's Chris Bryant, perhaps, right there.
KB.
Maybe. There's a name right there. Addison Russell.
Ooh, Addison. Okay.
And it's got a plastic, like a regular belt type feel to it with the being all the cards. And you got the back of the cards on there too.
Oh, I did not know that.
Oh yeah. Oh, back in the fray. There's Sammy.
Sammy.
That's right. Sammy. Oh, one of my favorite Chicago Cub of recent time, Sean Dunston.
Sean.
That's a good picture of Sean.
Is that Rick?
Greg Maddox.
Greg Maddox. Okay.
Greg Maddox. Uh, there's the Hawk.
There's the
right
Hawk.
there.
Yeah, I saw that. See that?
Let's see. The All Star. Would that be?
Ramos?
Maybe,
Ramos?
maybe I don't know who that might be. That don't look like Sandberg, does it? I can't tell. Can't tell who that is.
I can't tell.
Baez is at the end. Baez at the
I
end.
mean,
Yeah. So Vince, when I see you, I have this, and he's also working on a Arenado for Brody, which I evidently sent to his post office box, not his home. So he had to go get that. So working out a few kinks, but we got that. So that's pretty cool. And
well,
also,
thank you.
hey,
Much
no problem.
appreciated.
And also this weekend, I got to go up to Orlando Gardens And one of my all-time favorites, Bake McBride. Got to sit and talk with Bake for a little bit. Got an 8x10 signed of Bake right there. Probably like 74. He was rookie of the year in 74. And
Yeah.
he signed a few cards, and I'm just going to share. This is actually his rookie card, my favorite, 1975, as everybody knows. Signed that right there. So, man, I'm slowly but surely getting all my 75 signed by the Cardinals. And as we know, and as a bigger person, Hostess used to have cards on the back of their cupcakes and stuff. So there's the Bake McBride. It's 76. He's wearing the old pill hat right there. Sign that. And and I got one other card, Cleveland Indian. A lot of people know that Bake played for the Phillies and the Cardinals, but they don't know he played for. And I like that smaller picture of him right there. But anyway, just sharing that. Get out to one of these shows. Big, it's a lot going on. I got some announcements tonight
Did,
too.
did you see anybody bring one of these to have Bake McBride sign?
No, I did not.
We can, yes.
I'm telling you, baseball is the fans are excited. The show was packed this weekend. Also, our friends at Boys Dream Hobby Shop is having Jason Mott on Saturday from 12 to 2, but they're also having a card show down there. And tonight, through our show, I'll be drawing. We had 25 people reach out, and I'll draw a name for two Jose Canseco autograph pictures and a Ray Langford card. So, you just let me know sometime during the show and say, hey, draw one, and we'll give them away, and I'll make sure everybody gets these items. So, and a Boys Live Dream Shop for March announced Jim Edmonds, but there's been some things happening with Jim, which I was going to talk on the Cardinal news. And so last I heard, he's still going to be there, but I don't know if that's changed things. So we'll see. But Jim Edmonds was planning on being there in March to sign. And they just announced Brett Hull in the summer is coming down to the card
Wow.
shop. Yeah. For all you hockey fans out there, that's a big get, Brett Hull. Probably the most loved blues player there's ever been. So
We'll,
anyway,
we'll
that's
talk. We'll talk about Jim Edmonds a little later. He's made the news.
yeah. There's some news.
Former Cub and former Cardinal. A lot of people forget he played a little stint with the Cubs.
That's
What
right.
was that 2008 and uh, for the playoff run? I think he was with the Cubs.
Yeah, I remember I went to a game and watched him. I was out there. He did his weights and he came in and he pitched. He did a heck of a job. Had a nice career. I think he started as a catcher. I have a card of him as a catcher, and he probably wasn't hitting enough, and he turned himself into a pitcher. Had a nice little career.
Jim Edmonds.
No, I'm sorry, Jason Mott. Jason Mott.
Okay.
Jason Mott. I'm sorry,
Jim
Jason
Edmonds
Mott.
started pitching. I didn't know that.
I
No.
forgot. You know what? I actually forgot Edmonds was a Cub. He popped over there. That's right.
Yeah, Mott pitched for the Cubs in 2015. Did,
Okay.
did, did an admirable job, like seventh, eighth inning leverage guy. Um, Always one of my favorites. Even when he played for the Cardinals, he was one of my favorites. He's just a human being who was likable,
Yeah, he
like
got
you, JJ.
excited. Oh, bless you.
Like
He get
you.
excited and he come in and through him, I could feel like, man, I'd be like that too out there, getting all fired up.
He had I guess, a Twitter handle called Jason Mott's Glove that Kathy used to follow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like his glove had weird, weird times.
So he
So
had a good sense of humor too.
yeah. Well, JJ, go ahead and draw for the first one.
All right. The first one, let's do the Ray Langford autograph card. We'll start with the smallest item. It's a Bowman. Nice. He's in his batting stance right there. And I would just put it in there and let's see. I'm going to reach in there and the name I drew out. Let's see. I got a name right here. Little bitty one. It is Chad Barner from Atlanta, Georgia. One of our listeners down in Atlanta, Georgia. I will send that
Yeah,
to him and make sure he gets that.
Chad, much like uh, Charlie Sheen, you have tiger blood. You're a winner.
You're a winner, baby.
For those of
That's
you who
right.
remember 12 years ago or so. So
Very good.
very good. Well, let's start with the Obituaries, Faye Vincent passed away, and in my mind, Faye Vincent was the last of the true commissioners of baseball. He was commissioner from 88 through 92. Um, he succeeded A. Bartlett Giamonte, who passed away. And that was that strange time when Pete Rose was banned. Um, it was looking like there was going to be a work stoppage coming up when the next CBA was coming up. And Giamatti passed away, and then they got Faye Vincent in there. He upheld the Rose sentence. I don't know what else to call it that Giamatti um, imposed. Um, Only commissioner for 3 years, but after him, we got the owner. This is how things have changed. He suspended George Steinbrenner. Could you imagine a commissioner today even suggesting that an owner get suspended?
No,
No
no.
way. The commissioner used to have some power, and he was the last one who I see as a real commissioner. Then they decided, hey, let's just get Bud Selig because let's get an owner in there, and he'll look out for our best interest and blah 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 blah. But Faye Vincent, 3 years as a commissioner, not a long tenure. Passed away at the age of 89 from cancer. So rest in peace, Faye Vincent. Any memories of Faye Vincent?
Yeah, in the 3 years, a lot of stuff happened. And I thought at the time with Giamatti and Faye Vincent, I think Vincent was still had some sort of title, even when Giamatti was commissioner, that we were in really good hands because these guys were smart. I know Giamatti was like at Harvard or something. He was some high ranking official at Harvard. Then he comes to baseball. And Faye Vincent was a lawyer, and I thought, oh, we're in good hands. And then Giamatti passed away very quickly after he became the commissioner. And one of the things I remember was the 89, I was in the Navy at the time, the 89 World Series where it was in the Bay, it was the Giants and the A's, and the earthquake happened. And
Yeah,
he shut down the World Series for 10 days. And I feel that was a smart thing. You didn't know how you had to have check everything out. There was highways. There's famous video of a highway where the car kind of turned like that, and on one of the bridges, and there was chaos and families, and it was just and the word is a lot of the owners did not like the game baseball getting shut down for 10 days. But I just think for the safety of the fans, and there was fires going on, you had to get back to some sort of normalcy before you finished out the season. And I thought he did a great job. I would, looking back, I think that was a smart thing to do. But some of the owners, they didn't like the decisions he made, and I know that was one of them. He overlooked the expansion. It didn't happen in his term, but of the Rockies and the Florida Marlins,
yeah,
that's a huge thing, deciding the cities. And I know Florida's or Miami's had some, with their stadium and their fan base and everything. I don't. Was it a good decision? I don't know. They won 2 World Series, and then the Rockies seem to have a nice fan base, although they're not winning right now. So that was two good markets that he brought baseball into, and and you mentioned the possible lockout. Oh, and one of his things was they wanted Babe Ruth's 60 home runs held up over Maris's 61, and he said they should just be side by side because it was
yeah.
154 games and 162.
Took away the asterisk.
Yeah, I'm cool with that because it did happen. It's history, and it happened in two different length seasons. But Babe Ruth is so loved, and Roger Maris broke at like a sacred record, but he did it in 162 games. He did do it, and I think at the time a lot of the fans were wanting Mickey Mantle to break that record if anybody did. But Maris, I feel so bad for him because he never got the love and the attention that he deserved. I do, but I'm one person. But I'm glad Faye Vincent brought that to attention. That hey, it's just as important as the 60 home runs that Ruth hit in those 154 games. So that's some of my thoughts about Faye Vincent. And I thought he was very good and they just kind of squeezed him out and put one of their guys in there. And I really think the game's not been quite as good since we don't have a real commissioner anymore. You know,
Yeah, it's uh, I, you still have owners who want to win, but basically you're getting into baseball to buy a franchise to make money now. And the way the values of franchises are just escalating at an alarming rate. Winning is secondary to I would say the majority of owners. As long as you make that money. I mean, I think the Cubs are worth like 4.5 billion now, and I think Ricketts bought them for less than a billion. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
you're doing really good if you own a base. Why don't we own a baseball franchise?
Well, you got to get in. You got to have quite a bit of money. That's holding us back, Vince. The money.
Is the Gateway Grizzlies for sale? Independent
I
team?
don't know. I like going to games there. It's
Yeah,
fun.
we should buy the Grizzlies.
By the Grizzlies. That's right. I'll be the mascot. You can set me on fire, drag me by the bony machine, whatever you like. I'm all in for it. Did Vince? Did you hear about Rich Dower today? The Orioles second
Yeah,
baseman.
he passed also.
Yeah, it's I now I grew up watching him play, and although he wasn't like the star of the team, he was a very reliable player, fundamentally sound. Played 10 years with the Orioles, two World Series, won one, lost one, and I just remember, the Orioles were really good in his years, and he was always on TV and a staple of that great franchise and those winning years. Um, there was some things I didn't know. I did a little research on him, Vince, and he let's see, that when they lost in 79 to the Pirates, but they won in 83 against the Phillies. And he is in the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame, just like, each team seems to have one now, and very deserving. And he's also in the College Hall of Fame. He helped Southern California win titles in 73 and 74. I didn't know that. And he also was the first base coach of the Houston Astros when they won the World Series in 2017. So, he gave back, he coached, and just a big part of my growing up and remembering him playing. And I didn't really know all that about him because he didn't play for the Cardinals, but he'll be remembered. And I have some fond memories of Rich Dower.
Well, I remember the first game of the 79 World Series, um, and played in Baltimore, and it was cold. It was like high 30s, low 40s, and he made an error that led to some Pittsburgh runs, and it looked like they were going to lose. But late in the game, he made a pretty decent play, and they came back and they won that game. Ultimately, lost the World Series in 7 games. But I remember him going from watching TV, Dowers made the air, blah, kind of like going from the GOAT to the hero in one game, which I always think is a pretty cool story. So that's my biggest memory of Rich Dower and the time he came to my 14th birthday party and popped out of the cake wearing a bikini. Those are my two memories of Rich.
You always have some news I never even thought of. That's really
Oh,
cool.
I lived quite the life. Just call me Walter Mitty. Um, have you been watching the Caribbean series?
uh,
Probably not because you have a life.
Highlights. I saw where a guy did. It took him like a minute to get around the bases after a home run, and it wasn't even a walk off. And he threw the bat like crazy. And I was like, man, I don't know if that would fly in Bush Stadium. You know.
That was a that was the Venezuelan player yesterday. I was watching that game, and he hit it. He got it good, and he yeah the it was an exaggerated celebration around the bases. But I thought, okay, that's kind of cool because they were playing Puerto Rico. It's not like the Puerto Rican team was like, oh my gosh, what a terrible thing. It's just like
Yeah.
it's culturally, baseball accepts that
Yes,
in the Latin American countries. They are more accepting of that.
they are.
And I just thought it was kind of fun. But Mexico is just dominating, and they have already advanced to the finals. And as of when we started recording here, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and Japan are all vying for the second spot. So I think Venezuela and Puerto Rico, I it could come to a three-way tie, and then they have tiebreakers.
Okay.
So, but Mexico is just kind of dominating. They're the home team. If you watch a game and Mexico isn't playing, the crowd's kind of dead. But you watch a game and Mexico's playing, and I think Mexico plays the late game today, tonight. The stadium comes alive. It's pretty cool. So I've been checking that out and kind of enjoying it, seeing the players, seeing like Billy Hamilton is playing for Mexico. Oh, I haven't seen him
Oh,
for a few years. Um, yeah, it's kind of cool to see some of these players that are out there.
I would like to go. Like if I ever get to go to, I have a friend that's from Puerto Rico, and he says, JJ, come down, we'll go to the game. And I'm like, oh, that would be insane. I would absolutely love that. That would be good. So I'd like to, if I ever get to do some traveling when I retire, I'd like to go to some of these ballparks and just take in the atmosphere. And it'd be, I think it'd be a blast. I'd like to see the Japanese games. I'd like to see some of their what they do, because they have like cheers, and they're almost like cheerleaders with those thunder sticks and everything. And uh anyway, it'd just be fun to go do that.
Yeah, yeah. I I'm I'm not this person who wants to fly to Europe or Australia or Asia or something and see all that stuff. I'm kind of a homebody. Um, I don't really have the desire to do like a tropical cruise. The only thing that interests me is taking a cruise up to Alaska. Um,
Do
but
it. I've been once. I was in the Navy, so I cruised a lot. Never went to Alaska in the Navy, but I took my family to Seattle to show them where I lived and things around Seattle, and then we took a cruise up to Alaska. And Vince, what's good about it is it's people our age more than the Caribbean, where it's these young teeny boppers running around partying all the time. They're out there shooting pictures of we're in Alaska. They're taking pictures of like the eagles and the waterfalls and the glaciers and things like that.
I'll tell you what Kathy and I would love to do, is take a river cruise down the Mississippi.
Oh yeah,
Have you ever priced those suckers?
outrageous. They're very
It's
high.
it is cheaper to cruise, and I don't mean cheaper, I mean much cheaper to fly to Seattle, cruise to Alaska than it is for me to get in a boat in Minneapolis and go to St. Louis.
I know it's ridiculous.
And I understand boats are smaller, so they have to charge a lot more to make their profits. But as someone who loves history, I think it would be cool to like. I would like to go from Minneapolis all the way down to New Orleans,
Oh
and
yeah.
see everything, see uh, all the history of the cities on the river, and then you get to like Vicksburg, and because I love the Civil War stuff, and oh, that would be, but it's so friggin' expensive, man.
It sure is. It's very plush though. Your rooms are super nice, and they feed food. They feed you good on these cruises and things. They keep the atmosphere going, and they give you an itinerary in the morning of all the trivia's, and they have like a newlywed game, and they have comedians and bands and stuff on these cruises. So they keep you entertained. There's always something going on. But me and Faith in October, we're going to Boston. I want to see the city for 4 days. We're just going to go around the city and see all that. But we're taking a cruise up through Maine in October to see the leaves change, and then up to Canada, Newfoundland, and we're going to go to where they wrote the book Anne of Green Gables. For all you folks that like those books, my wife was a big fan of Anne of Green Gables, and You can go up there and see where they film the movies and the TV show and everything. So we're going to go do that. And she goes to a lot of things and puts up with me. It's the least I can do for her.
We're going to Maine, not this summer, but the next summer. We'll probably spend about 2 weeks there, and it's beautiful there in the summer. And this will be the first time we take a extended vacation without any of the kids.
Oh, it's going to be different.
So yeah, so if we want to sit around and just drink tea on a dock all day long, we can do that.
There you
If we both love antiquing, if we want to go visit some shops, we can do that, and uh, just kind of have an old people vacation. No amusement parks, nothing like that.
Yeah, my days at the amusement parks are over, Vince. No more. I'll drive the old cars at Six Flags, but that's about it now.
Uh, oh, getting into transactions, we got a couple weeks. I'll just highlight the major ones. Paul Sewald signed a 1 year contract with Cleveland. Paul Sewald has been a closer. He's been a setup guy. And he's been very effective. It's a good signing for Cleveland. And I like how Cleveland, who are in the same boat as a lot of teams who are having issues with their TV contract, and that money's just not there, how they are still putting a pretty decent effort. Paul Sewald is an affordable guy who's going to be a leverage guy in the back end of their bullpen. And I think that was a great signing. AJ Minter going to the Mets for 1 year. The Mets also signed former Cub Nick Madrigal. So Nicky Bats is going to the Big Apple, where he will maybe hit 272 and get 80 hits, and 74 of them will be singles. It's Nick Madrigal. Um, the Mets, I only bring this up because he closed for the Cubs a few years ago. The New York Mets also signed Adbert Alzolay to a minor league deal, so they're bringing in arms to get that bullpen in shape. And Ryan Stanek also signed a contract, and he is going to the Mets too. So good job for the Mets. Former Cub Albert Almora Jr. Almora Jr. signed a minor league contract with the Marlins. He did not play last year. Last played in 2023 for either the Mets or the Reds. I can't remember who it was, but he didn't play last year. So, former first round pick by the Cubs, actually the first round pick by Theo Epstein when he got to Chicago. We thought he was going to be a catalyst in center field, and it just didn't work out. But someone's taking a look at him. That's good, even though it is just the Marlins. Seriously, anybody who signs a contract with the Marlins, is that signing a minor league contract?
If you do good, you won't be there long. They'll get rid of you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Your boy Dylan Carlson signs for 1 year with the Orioles. Good signing, versatile player.
I wish him well. He went to he was here. We, like you were saying about your player, we had high expectations, high draft choice, very good defensive player, had trouble staying healthy, and just didn't hit, struck out too much. I wish him all the best, and he's going to be on a great team where he can kind of just blend in, maybe be their fourth outfielder, but he's got the talent if he could just put it all together. I've seen guys like this. We've all had every fan base has players. Oh, hey, this is going to be the next guy, and it just doesn't work out. And then maybe later on they go somewhere, and it takes them to 28. It takes them longer, and he might be that big player. And I wish him all the best. He did nothing but work hard and tried his best here. It's just when he wasn't hitting or playing or hurt, he just didn't get the playing time here. So, and then he went down to Tampa Bay, and now he's moved on to Baltimore. I tell you what, that's a good team, good young team. It'll be maybe that some of that magic will rub off on them.
Yeah, I do not like when clubs rely on a rookie for a full-time role. Um, because I've been watching this game for 50 years, and I've just seen the next best player the next big thing just come up and flame out way too many times. Sometimes it's injuries, sometimes it's desire, sometimes it's between the ears. You never know. And we're kind of in that boat this year. All these Cub fans, Matt Shaw's ready, Matt Shaw's ready. You don't know that. I hope he's ready, but you
Yeah.
don't know that because he's never faced major league pitching. You don't know if he's ready. And so as of right now, he is our starting third baseman, and that just kind of like gives me. I know we've got a decent team this year, but I don't like relying on rookies to be contributors. I kind of look at it, if they come up, they play their way up, they're so good, they play their way into the lineup. That's a bonus. That is something that's great. But I just don't like relying on that. And I know you've got to start them somewhere. If I was a manager, and God knows I am qualified. If I was a
If we buy the Grizzlies, you're managing.
if I was a manager and we had the next best thing, big thing coming in, and he's going to be, let's say, big bopping first baseman, I would make sure that we have a veteran who can man first base, and I would split time to start the season and see if they play their way into the position. Give them at bats as DH, give them at bats off the bench, give them a couple starts during the week of first base, and see if they can pick it up while they're there. And I know that Matt Shaw, there's no reason for him to go back to AAA because he tore it up. Why do you send players back to the minors who are tearing it up? Bring him up and see what he can do, but have the backup plan. And I'll get into that when we get to the Cubs. Maybe we do have the backup plan. Who knows? Adam Frazier signed a 1 year contract with Pittsburgh. He manned second base for the Royals last year and had kind of a tough season, um, which is another reason why to think that Pittsburgh's going nowhere if that's going to be their second baseman. Tigers were busy with two great pitching signings. Tommy Cannell signed for 1 year, pitched for the Yankees last year, had an excellent season. And Jack Flaherty's going back to the Tigers, where he started last year before he was traded to the Dodgers. And I think he signed 1 year with an option for a second year. Is
Yes,
that what it was? His
that's what I
option.
read.
Okay. So Flaherty had a kind of surprised me because he'd kind of been trending downward. He had a comeback season last year that was very effective. And I know that he's not real popular in St. Louis. He didn't really have the Midwest personality. Um, but yeah, hope the best for him.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And I kind of always pull for the Tigers. That's going to be fun. They're a good. They're getting better, Vince. That's going to be a good team.
It is that American League Central is going to be fun to watch this year. It really is. Um, Max Scherzer going to the Jays for 1 year. And this is the year that I see the Jays have been trying to push in all their chips for a 1 year push before Guerrero or Bichette, one of those two. They're not going to be able to afford both of them. So Scherzer going there. They're making a serious bid to try to get some into the playoffs before one of those two have to leave. And it's a very little risk to them.
Yeah,
He has a bad season. Oh well, he retires. Austin Hayes signed for 1 year with the Reds.
I like that kid. Plays
Yeah.
hard, and he's getting his prime years now. And man, that Reds team, Vince. Anybody in our division could win our division. The
See,
Reds, look out.
Hayes, I think 21 or 22, had like 20 home runs or so. And then
Yep.
he's had a few years in the mid-teens. And then last year it was, I don't even think he hit double digits. So, but boy, that ballpark is fun to hit in Cincinnati.
It
So,
sure is. Yeah. And he plays a heck of a defense in right field.
yeah. Jorge Polanco re-ups with the Mariners for a year. Uh, good for him. And Tim Hill, this just announced today, is back with the Yankees for another year. Um, one of those throwback middle relievers who strikes out less than 5 per 9. He is the epitome of a contact pitcher, and he's effective at it. So you can still be a pitcher who pitches to contact and be effective.
That's right. Get
So
three
that
outs and make a couple $1,000,000.
that's right. That's the only transactions from the last 2 weeks I wanted to highlight. There's a lot of people who were designated or sent to the minors. Got a just a lot of familiar names. Like, oh, I forgot that guy was around. But he's going to be playing in Minnesota's minor leagues this year. So that's about all I have with opening news. Anything you want to add,
Well,
subtract?
Vince, here we are in February, and it's always fun to get those Alton books where the predictions come out and everybody puts out their predictions. But I always look at the Pacoda. They put all the numbers in and your lineups and predict how many wins you're going to have. It's for fun, but and they do pretty good. Every once in a while, there's a surprise in there too. But I just like to go over a few of them, what they're saying in the American League East. No surprise, the Yankees with 94 wins they're predicting. The Orioles with 91, kind of going back a little bit. Toronto 81, and they'll be battling for the last playoff spot. Then Tampa Bay 87, and Boston Red Sox only 74 wins, they say. So that'd be kind of fun to watch. So you'd have Yankees and Baltimore, according to this, making the playoffs. In the Central, they have the Minnesota Twins with 86. I don't know. That's a wide open one, Vince. I don't know if I'd say Minnesota, but they got just as good chance as anybody. Then they're saying Kansas City with only 81. Now, of course, injuries, you can't predict injuries and things, but it'd be them and Toronto fighting for that last playoff spot to get to the playoffs. Cleveland 80. I know they've lost a lot of their heart and soul of their team. Detroit 79, and the White Sox, amazingly, 61 wins. Now, come on, let's not get crazy, Dakota. And then over in the other division, Texas with 90 wins. And I do think Texas is going to be really good this year. Houston 86, Seattle 85, the Angels 76, and the A's 70. So if this holds up, they're predicting the Yankees, Baltimore, Minnesota, Texas, Houston, and Seattle making the playoffs with Kansas City and Toronto kind of fighting out for that last spot. Sounds pretty good. Then over in the National League, and I'll save our division for last. But they have Atlanta, who, if they can get healthy, they're back. That's a good team, man. 92 wins, the Mets 88, and the Phillies 87. Dogfight all year over in that division. And the Nationals, who have the two top prospects, outfielders, Woods and Dylan, I can't think of his last name, but two of the top two outfield prospects in all of baseball, going to be playing on their team all year with 74 wins. And then the Marlins 62, the minor leagues of Major League Baseball. And then the Dodgers 104, surprise, surprise. That's an off year if they only win 104. Arizona 86, San Diego 83, San Francisco 78, and the Rockies 56. And in our division, they're picking the Cubbies, 91 wins. So, got that target on your back now. The Brewers 80, the Cardinals 79, Pirates 75, and the Reds 74. So the playoffs, according to Pacoda, would be Atlanta, Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Dodgers, Arizona, and San Diego, and the Brewers fighting out for that last playoff spot. I can see that happening, but that's why we play the game. Who knows? White Sox might get in there. Who knows? It's going to be fun, Vince, and I'm excited. I know. Let's not get crazy. I want to give that young man that came on here who's a White Sox fan just a shot of sunshine, for maybe a day or two before reality sets in. And Vince, I have one other thing I was going to talk about. It's kind of a serious thing. Major League Baseball let one of the better umpires go for being involved in gambling. His name is Pat Holberg, 38 years old. He's when they grade pitchers umps on balls and strikes, he's one of the higher scoring umpires. But he got into sports gambling, legal sports gambling, and the story said he had an account that a friend used, and he bet on some baseball games, and some of them were actually games that Mr. Holberg umpired. And so they fired him, and they in the article it said that he understood, but the way it's worded that he has a chance to come back in a few years and reapply for his job. But Vince, just the whole thing on this is that's a crazy thing, the gambling and players and umpires, and I just think you should keep you get paid pretty well. I would just I would think there should be you if you're an active player, an umpire involved in baseball or sports in any way, you shouldn't be gambling because it just doesn't look good. And to keep everything honest, just transparency. Just be transparent with everything. Don't gamble. I know Otani and his interpreter. There's a whole big old thing on that. It just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. How do you feel about that? I know gambling's legal now, but I just don't think that players and umps should be doing it.
Well, yeah, there are strict rules against players that are gambling, which is why Pete Rose is not in the Hall of Fame. This Holbrook has been fired. The reason we had the White Sox scandal of 1919, which almost killed the game if Babe Ruth when it came started hitting the ball out of the ballpark, changed the game. So you cannot mix gambling. If you're working in the sports industry, you cannot mix gambling. If you're working for a franchise, you're working for the league or whatever. I remember about 20, 30 years ago, there was a basketball referee that got fired for being involved in gambling. I remember the Boston College point shaving scandal of the late 70s, early 80s. You, you, there's, it used to be like the 1919 White Sox and the point shaving with Boston College. Um, these were players who were underpaid, of course, in Boston College. Back then, athletes could not be paid. So someone saying, hey, I'll give you $10,000, you average 14 points a game, just score 11, keep your scoring down to 11. Um, and that's kind of an easy thing to do for a player. Hey, I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'm just going to shave 3 points off of my average and make $10,000. Um, in today's world where athletes are being paid so much, officials are paying so much, people in the office, people who are have key roles in franchises and leagues are being paid so much, you just need to stay away from it. But I do understand because, like I said, I had a family member who had a gambling addiction. It's it's real. It's not, nah, I decide I'm gonna quit betting. You can't. It's not that easy. That's why they have rehab. It's like saying, I've been using heroin for 20 years. I'm going to decide just to quit. It doesn't work that way. My mom smoked most of her life. And when my daughter, my oldest, was born, she quit smoking. She
Wow.
tried quitting many times, but she paid for quitting smoking. It was hell. She went through depression. She I mean, it took a mental toll on her, and but she was able to quit. And I remember 20 years after she stopped smoking, I was talking to her one day, and I said something to the effect, "Do you think you could even handle a cigarette now?" She said, "Oh yeah, I could pick it up like it was nothing. I still crave cigarettes." So it's an addiction that people have. And if you got the addiction, it's not just easy to say, well, I'm being paid enough, I can quit. It's tough. You and I are old enough to remember Art Schlichter, who was a quarterback
Oh yeah.
for Ohio State, also played on Ohio State's college basketball team. Great athlete. Looked like he was a can't miss quarterback in the NFL. He was a gambling addict. And his when you read articles about him, he would be in team meetings just obsessed with what he was going to bet on next. It's a sad deal. So I hope this guy gets the help he needs, and
Because
hope
it
he does.
sounded like he was a very good umpire. And when I said that about paying, I put myself in a situation. If I would be mortified if the news got out, well, look, he's a he's an umpire and gambling, and they, he's you always think, well, maybe they're thinking I'm throwing the games or something like that. I have a fear of, I'll just stay away from that, so I'll never get started. But you know, yeah, I have a couple of friends that that's what they do, and I think they always think, well, next time I'm going to win all my losses back. I'm just going one more time, one more bet. I'll just get this time, and it's kind of sad to be honest with you.
I'll tell you a funny story because I really don't give a damn if I say this anymore.
Okay.
Um, when you decide you want a divorce, you have to have a reason. Okay. If you don't really have one besides you just want to get out and uh, get another person, I'll
Yes.
just leave it at that. You have to make up reasons.
Okay.
So um, I found out after I got divorced that me, who is as cheap as they come, that I was blowing all of our money at the boat. I
Oh,
found out through the grapevine.
oh, I'm
Now,
sorry.
the way it got back to me was through my work. My manager told me he formed a business relationship with a former friend of ours, my ex-wife and I's, and this friend told him that, oh yeah, he blew all his money at the boat. He's got a gambling habit. Now, this is like 5 years after I was divorced. Uh, the heck? I I don't do heads or tails, man. So that was just
Oh,
kind of funny. So
oh man. Yeah, breakups are tough. You always nobody breaks up, and I don't know many people they break up and say, "Man, you're the best." I always thought the world of you. It never works out like that.
oh, I thought of all the things to accuse me of, and she accused me of a lot of things, Gambling? Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I don't even make friendly wagers. Okay, every now and then I'll tell Kathy something like, I'll bet you $1 million, something
Yeah.
stupid like that. But I don't even make friendly wagers with my kids or anything like that. It's just not me. So, oh, anyway, what's going on in Cardinal news?
Well, Vince, there wasn't a whole lot anyway until just the other day. I was going to talk, you mentioned Carlson and Flaherty getting on with other teams now, the Orioles and the Tigers. But the big story in Cardinal land is Jim Edmonds, who did a lot of TV work. And when the Cardinals were on cable too, he would be on there doing the color. And he's not coming back this year. And he went on ESPN 101.1 and for about 40 minutes just talked about the Cardinals and about the culture of the team. Now, he started out saying that he loves Ollie and he loves the players and he liked the job and everything. And supposedly at one point, they said, we may go in a different direction. And he said, well, I understand. And he's got a family and he lives in Tennessee. And then I think once they said, no, we're not going to have you back, you know, he was upset about it. So he talked about the culture, how since after COVID, it's just not been the same. And the players, the older players don't seem as welcome as they once did. And it was like the inner circle, like the owners and, the people at the top that was just have changed things. And it's not a fun place to be anymore. And he didn't want to do it anyway. I honestly don't know. I think there's some more to the story. I like Jim Edmonds, and I think he was a heck of a player and center fielder. But I'm just not a big fan of his broadcasting. I'll be honest with you. We've had some great players through the years come through and do some play by play, and not all of them are great. I love Ozzie Smith. Oh my gosh, Vince, not an announcer. It's just you know, he's so good. I guess it just came so natural to him, like Jim Edmonds. But the personality and just it just was kind of hard to listen to. Bob Gibson, a Cardinal legend, and Lou Brock, they both did some games, and I just didn't enjoy it. And I love those guys to death. Then you turn the corner and you got Ricky Horton on the radio, and I love listening to Ricky Horton. He's got a lot of personality. I love Brad Thompson, some of those players. Mike Shannon, I love Mike. Tim McCarver and Jim Cott, absolutely love those guys. But I just don't know, if I would say that Jim was an all-star announcer. And I don't know, maybe he was just not happy maybe there is a big problem. I know a lot of the fans are talking about the Cardinals just aren't the same. And man, if we could just win, I think that cures a lot of it. But right now, we're going through a kind of a tough period. And I love the Cardinals just as much as ever. And I'm sorry that it didn't work out for Jim. And um, I don't know. I don't know if we ever really know what happened behind the scenes, but he won't be in the broadcast booth anymore. And I know next month he was going to be down. I don't know if he's even going to be seen. Like opening day, they have the red jacket folks come. I don't know if he's even going to be there, how hard feelings he has right now. I'm sure hope he sticks around because he's a big part of Cardinal history. But that's kind of what I know of the interview and everything. What you think when you heard all that, Vince?
Well, a few months ago, it came out that he put his house in Frontenac on the market.
Oh, okay.
So, did this surprise me? No, I think he's known this. How can I put this? He said something during the interview that there's a lot of times in the booth he's just winging it, and that was his words. I wing it. That tells me he's not preparing, and that was Ozzie Smith was not a good color commentator, and it became an open secret amongst those in the media that he wasn't preparing. And you can tell when a commentator is well prepared. And Edmund said, with all the commercials and everything going on, I barely had time to talk. I don't buy that because there are many other commentators who have plenty of time to talk. The Cubs have just as many commercials as anyone else, and Jim DeShay still gets all this stuff in, and he's very well prepared.
You like Jim
Uh,
DeShays too, right? He's pretty
I
good.
love Jim DeShay. Jim DeShay on the radio side, I love Ron Coomer. He does the color, and he's very well prepared. Um, I I perceive this. Has the culture changed in St. Louis? Yeah, I do believe it has. Uh, excuse me. I there seemed to be something that flipped, at least the way I look at the world of the Cardinals, when Schultz took them to the playoffs and got fired.
Oh,
It was like there's something off here, and
yeah.
it's just felt off ever since 2 years ago when they lost 1,000,005 games. It was really off. They rebounded and had a little
I think
bit
he's
better year this past year. Now they're completely going in a new direction, so don't expect much from them. But with with Jim Edmonds, and I do like Ricky Horton. Um, I Robosky when he does commentating is very good.
I know.
Um,
Yeah.
Jim Edmonds
Passionate.
has aside from I didn't think he was prepared, he's kind of comes across as aloof and bored in the booth. And yeah, when you go from Mike Shannon, hey, there's a pop up. Oh my gosh, it's time for a push. He popped up. When you go from that to, well, he's been in the league for 3 years and he's still throwing that same breaking ball fastball mix. That's
Yeah.
it was driving me bananas to watch him. And I didn't watch a whole lot of Cardinal games, but when I watched it, Kathy, my wife, who's a huge Cardinal homer, she didn't like Jim Edmonds. I I don't want to play dime store psychologist, but I'm going to. Um, I perceive Jim Edmonds as someone who has got a chip on his shoulder because he feels like he deserves more accolades for his playing career than what he got. Um, he probably feels like he was a Hall of Famer, should be, and so far he's not been. Um, he doesn't take criticism well, and he said that in the interview. I don't like being criticized, and you're going to get criticized when you're in a public thing like that.
Oh, yeah. It's rough.
But I remember there were criticisms, and I don't know. I don't play the game, but there were criticisms within the league that Jim Edmonds embellished a lot of his plays to make himself look like this super athletic center fielder. That a lot of these things he could have just ran down, but he would
Dive.
maybe jog a little bit, then do the dive, you know. Um, so maybe he's kind of got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but I just don't like to see a player when an organization has given him so much World Series victories, um, multiple playoff appearances, all-star appearances. You're one of the legends of St. Louis. You own the town. Why he decided he was going to torch this franchise who kept him around for 9 years in the booth when honestly not very many people wanted him there. Why he decided, I'm going to burn it down before I leave. I that didn't sit well with me.
Well, I wish him well, and he's always, if I see him at the park, I'm, hey, my gosh, there's Jim Edmonds. Tell my son how good he was and stuff like that. But yeah, announcing won't be on maybe down the list of things and everybody can't be great at everything. My
Yeah,
God, he's good looking. He had a heck of a career, all-star, gold gloves, just not the best announcer. That's all. That's
more money and he knows what to do with it.
yeah.
Um, and I I don't see the Cardinals. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean this is what he said, but I just don't see the Cardinals. Jim Edmonds shows up at spring training saying, "Oh, we don't need you here." I
Yeah.
it makes no sense.
If anything, we're good at our legacy, our legacy
Yes,
players, having them back. I mean, heck, the Cardinals would have Roger Freed come back and just sign some
maybe
autographs.
Day. I mean,
Yeah, and so that's one thing they do very well. Great giveaways and honoring the past. I mean, that's what we do. Maybe the present's not so hot at the moment, but so I hope that's not true, and I don't I in my little humble opinion I don't think it is, but God, he was a good player, and I'm excited about these young guys coming up, and I can't wait for baseball. That's all I got to say about the thing.
well, obviously they feel like they have better options to do the
Yeah, oh,
color
yeah.
work on TV. So, um, and I'm sure they do.
Adam
And
Wainwright, he's playing music, but he did a heck of a job when he was up there. He knew all the
yeah,
players and how he'd attack and had little stories to tell and everything. It was fun.
yeah, in my mind, a good color commentator, you have to be on top of the game. You have to be thinking forward. And, you know, guy comes up with a runner on second and nobody out. The commentator said, well, I think with this hitter, I think it's best options to try to bunt him over to third, or with this fastball pitcher, he needs to let it rip and try to hit one out. Kind of think forward, and if you can do that and explain what's going on mentally and mechanically inside the game, you're pretty good. If you've got personality to add to that, you're great. There are just so many Steve Stones. Steve Stone is my favorite color
I
commentator.
love him.
Yeah, Lou Boudreau, when I was growing up, was boring. He did not have much of a personality, but he could break down a game and he could tell you what was going on in the thought process. And I remember when I was little, me and my dad were talking about Lou Boudreau, and I said how boring he was. And dad just brought up a few examples of stuff that he was predicting in a game and did you notice that this happened? Did you notice that this happened? And this guy really knows what he's talking about. But when you got those exceptional ones like Steve Stone, who just is entertaining, funny, and still sharp as a tack at his age, um, those are worth more than gold. But there's not very many Steve Stones around.
No,
But you've at least got to be a Lou Boudreau. And I just didn't perceive that this was his gig.
yeah. Uh, One of my favorite moments, you talk about personality. I remember, and Jack Buck would keep you in the game because they would go to the game and then come back and be talking about different aspects of the game. And if somebody lined a line shot off of somebody's thigh, and the trainer came out and they threw a few pitchers and everything. And I said, okay. The next guy comes up and lays down a bunt. And Jack Buck, all he said was, that's a dirty trick. He just got hit with the ball. And I was, oh, we were laughing our butts off. It was just, man, that was just, that's a good analogy on that one. So yeah, a good announcer just makes the game that much better. It's like running into some old friends and like, oh man, I can't wait for the ninth game and what they got to say, and it's, give you some knowledge and all that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with
I,
you. Steve
I, I
Stone's great.
what made Mike Shannon so popular was you could tell he was excited to be at the game every game. I mean, he was just what better place to be than a ballpark
Oh,
talking
and
about baseball.
he'd have Steve Mizrarini up there, and it'd just be, I don't know, that it would get off the Jack Buck had to reel them in, while they were up there.
There was
Good times.
there was a game I was probably seventh, eighth grade, and when the Cardinals would be playing on the West Coast, uh, my mom worked midnights at the graveyard shift. She was a single parent. I had two older sisters, so my mom would go to work about 10:30. And if the Cardinals were playing on the West Coast, I would just turn on the game on my transistor radio and listen to it. So they're playing in San Francisco, and I think Reitz was playing third, and there was a hot shot that was hit off of that crushed brick they had in Old Candlestick Ballpark that ate up Reitz. And the official scorer gave him an error, and Shannon went nuts. I want that official scorer to go down there. I will hit 10 shots and he won't come up with any. That is not an error. And by golly, the guy changed the ruling to a single. I don't know if it was because of Shannon, but uh, just the passion for
Yeah.
that's Ken Reed's. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. If that ball gets by him, there's a reason. It was way too hot to handle. And even though I'm listening to it on the radio, I'm just picturing a laser bing,
Yeah, the theater of the mind. Oh heck yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, we're still on Cardinal news. Keep
Well,
it
no,
going.
that's it. It was the Jim Edmonds story, and we wish him well. And I'm excited to see who they get in the broadcasting booth now. They rotate people. It's like a lot of teams now. You got Chip Carey, and then you have usually an ex-player, and they come in and are there a few days. Brad Thompson, I think, does a great
Brett
job.
Thompson is excellent.
He's fun, and Chip Carey and him it's magical when they're together, kind of thing. So I enjoy that. So we'll see who else comes along. But yeah, that's it for Cardinal news, Vince.
Okay. In Cub news, um, top 10 players in Major League Baseball at their position. Ian Happ, top 10 at left field. Seiya Suzuki and Kyle Tucker, both in the top 10 of Major League Baseball in right field. Wow. Dansby Swanson, once more in the top 10 for shortstop. Nico Horner, top 10 for second baseman. There's a reason why Picoto loves the Cubs to win 90 games, which I think is third most in the National League. We also have 7 of the top 100 prospects: Rojas, Alcantara, Trianos, Ballesteros, Casey, and Cade Horton and Matt Shaw. So there's a lot to be looking forward to as far as the Cubs go. Um, we are predicted to have an 87% chance of making the playoffs. And these are the transactions we've done in the last couple of weeks. We picked up Ryan Presley from Houston,
Oh,
who used to close for World Series team.
good.
Since Hader came over there, he's been a setup guy. I wasn't impressed with his peripherals. And then when I looked into it, basically he had 4 terrible outings at the beginning of the season. Then after that, he was really good. We also signed John Birdie, a former Yankee, to a 1-year contract. He can play all the positions in the infield, including first base. Um, and he's got a decent bat. So that's going to strengthen our bench. We signed Brad Keller, former starter for the Royals, to a minor league contract. Nicky Lopez doesn't even have to change his address. We signed him to a minor league contract. Played with the White Sox last year. We have so many arms in the bullpen now. We have six starters right now. Um, we have a robust rotation and bullpen right now. Things can go to hell in a handbasket with injuries or whatever, age. And I'm just saying, as we talk right now on paper, there's a lot to like about this Cub team, which many Cub fans have done nothing but complain about how cheap they were all winter and how they're uh, my favorites are these. Yeah, Craig Counsell, he can't win. Uh, he had a bad year last year. The team underperformed. They couldn't hit last year. This is a much better team.
I
Council
agree.
will be much better. Um, just to address a few of the rumors that are out there, the rumors out there that we are trying to deal for Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease is going to be moved by San Diego because they're over the luxury tax and they need to get under it because they're having TV deal issues too. Dylan Cease, who began as a Cub farmhand, and then we decided that Jose Quintana was going to be our savior. So we got rid of him and Eloy Jimenez for Quintana, and that's
We've all got stories like that, Vince. We H team.
so Cease. This is my issue with Cease. We already gave up Cam Smith, one of our top prospects, Hayden Wisniewski, who pitched us out of the pen, and who was the other player? Itzhak Paredes, our starting third baseman who sucked, but we gave him up to Houston to get Kyle Tucker, who may be a 1 year rental. Cease has 1 year left on his contract. What are they asking for? Of course, everybody's asking for Matt Shaw. Ain't happening. Okay. What's the next person they're going to ask for? Either Alcantara or Owen Casey. I think Alcantara's got a higher ceiling. He's more athletic. He's not yet grown into his body. Owen Casey, I see as a power hitting first baseman type, DH type. I just don't think he's got the skill level that Alcantara has. So, do we trade Owen Casey, our third ranked prospect, along with a few other major league ready, maybe like a bullpen arm and another major league player or something for Dylan Cease, who may also be a 1 year rental? I don't know. Um, there's also rumors that if they can't find the right suitor for Cease, the Padres would be willing to give up Matt King. Um, Matt King is a very good middle of the rotation pitcher. Um, you're probably wondering if you got six starters, why are you wanting another starter? Because
Yeah.
look what the Dodgers did
Right.
last year. They stockpiled starters, so when they went down, next man up. So I don't think we're done wheeling and dealing. Flaherty coming off the board. I didn't think we were serious contenders for him anyway. But Dylan Cease, Matt King being those are trade deals that we could be affordable. I do see them as strong possibilities. Um, and if you trade for a pitcher, maybe you could extend him easier than you can a Ryan Tucker. I mean, or excuse me, a Kyle Tucker. Tucker, $400 or $500 million range. Pitchers like to sign extensions because their careers are a little more iffy. So we'll see how that works out. We're also connected to Alex Bregman. I don't know why. Um, Alex Bregman, uh, we have him. We just call him Nico Horner. And I think
Younger.
I think if Nico Horner played in Houston, you get that. I mean, Bregman brings Gold Glove caliber third base play. Horner does it second. I think Horner would hit some home runs in Houston. I don't see Bregman coming here and making a huge difference. Um, as long as Matt Shaw can catch the ball decent, okay. If you bring over Bregman, um, it would probably be like the contract that what's his name got Cody Bellinger got last year,
Oh,
something like
yeah.
that. I could see Bregman coming over here and having an Isaac Paredes type season. Uh, a pull hitter who can't. It's weird how when we were little, Wrigley Field was a hitter's park and now it's a pitcher's park. But when you play in Houston, where you've got that short left field, all you have to do is pull the ball 340 feet. It's a home run, and those are fly balls in Wrigley. So Bregman did kind of have identical splits, home and road, so maybe that does cancel it out. Um, but I don't know if that's where I want to spend my money. I'd rather save that money and see if I can apply it towards Kyle Tucker to try to extend him, or if we get a pitcher like Caesar King, if we have King, we don't need to extend that, but extend Cease if need be that we get him. So um, I'm just kind of like I'm not sure if Alex Bregman is a good fit here, but the rumors out there that we're one of the ones still in it. So who knows?
I think you guys, as a Cardinal fan, I think the Cubs have been smart. They spend their money smartly because a lot of teams just make some big move, try to make some big moves, and then they get stuck with the contracts and everything. And you've brought up a lot of good young players, and you got another year of experience under their belts. And nobody in our division's kind of running away with it. We all have some strengths and weaknesses, and I think this may be you guys' year. I just think you guys are the cream of the crop, and Council's put his coaching staff together this year, and I just think I see better things for y'all. As of course, injuries and bad luck that can happen to anybody, but the Cubs look pretty strong on paper. I think you guys are going to win first place this year in our division.
I think we're clearly, and Pacoda likes us by 10 games in our division. I think we're clearly the team to beat in the division now, but that's why we play games on the field, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm still picking the Brewers because the Brewers are going to have,
They'll figure out a way. Them guys, I'm telling you, players we don't even know about right now will
yeah,
step up. Yeah.
Babe Ruth the fourth is like coming up. But I think if we do get Cease, um, that takes us from being playoff contenders to deep run contenders. I think with that kind of pitching, we could catch lightning in a bottle and make a deep run like Arizona did in 2023. Because if we had Cease, boy, Steele, Imanaga, Cease, Tyone, um, Colin Ray, Assad Wicks, um, Ben Brown, Cade Horton is probably going to pitch out of the bullpen this year, but he's got the nasty stuff of all of them. Um, we have just stockpiled all these pitchers, and I really like that strategy.
Yeah.
So, who else likes that strategy?
Oh, yeah, he Jeremy Connor loves that strategy. That's who loves that strategy.
Jeremy Connor. Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. We're going to do a very short segment here. We're going to keep it light because next week we'll be in spring training and we'll be a little more serious about things. But JJ and I are going to talk about our top 5 ballpark foods.
Oh, yeah. There
This
we
is
go.
fighting journalism that we've got going here. JJ and I love to eat. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You're a cook and I'm a fat man right there. That's two experts. Two experts right there. Woo.
So, JJ, tell me, what is your fifth favorite ballpark food?
All right. I've been to about half the ballparks. All right. I always try to get something that's just particular to that ballpark. Like I said, I lived in Seattle and I've been up there. Took my family up there to show them where I ran around and stuff I did. But Seattle has these things called freedom fries or garlic fries, very tangy tasting. And I use ketchup on them, but I think they do have several flavors you can dip them. These things are absolutely fantastic. And if you've ever seen a game at Seattle or watched it on TV, they used to be in the King Dome. So it was just kind of a generic looking dome. But now they're outside. And when you're watching a game, you can see shadows flying all over the field. And they're seagulls because you're right next to the Puget Sound. And if you usually get a little plate of these freedom fries that are fantastic. If you set them down, beware. These seagulls will bomb and just grab them fries and take off with them. So you got to be careful. So the seagulls love them. Yes, they're brought in from a restaurant in town. Grounders world famous garlic fries is what they're called, and they were started. A broadcaster, Mike Blowers, he was a player for the Seattle and became an announcer. He gave them the name Freedom Fries, and it caught on. And it seemed like every time he mentioned them, they got in a hot streak. So they've been served now since 2007 in Seattle, and it's a big treat up there. So if you ever make it up there, try their garlic fries. I would say they're more like if you've ever ate at Rally's, that kind of consistency, like a curly fry kind of thing, but with a lot of garlic on them, and they're pretty darn good. That's my number five.
My number five is the loaded ice cream that I got in a helmet at the Metrodome in Minneapolis. Now, I haven't been to Target Field, but I'm sure they transferred that because almost every ballpark has the ice cream in a helmet now. Nothing beats this. This is enough for three people, and it is so rich. I was not diabetic when I went to Minneapolis. I left a diabetic. That's how I became diabetic. But the first time I went there, um, my ex mother-in-law, who ate like a bird, comes walking down to our seats with this huge helmet that is just overflowing with stuff. And I was like, wow. And then she said, I know, isn't this huge? She wasn't a baseball fan. And so she sat there and she ate maybe 10% of it. And then she gave it to one of the kids who ate about another 30% of it. And then they just kind of passed it around and everybody was eating off of it. And it took all of us to eat the whole thing. So I never got one by myself whenever I would go to Minneapolis because my in-laws lived there. I would always split it with whoever I was with. But man, I can still taste it today. Just and you don't think of ice cream and Minneapolis going together, but oh my gosh, that was wonderful. So that's my number five.
Oh man, you make my mouth water right there. That sounds pretty darn good. Whew. Well, I tell you what, anybody that knows me, one of my biggest food group is Mountain Dew soda. I'm a soda aholic and I love Mountain Dew. Now, Coca-Cola is the official soda of Major League Baseball. Boo. I'm a Mountain Dew Pepsi guy.
I'm a Pepsi
Oh,
guy.
you say amen. Only 11 teams serve Mountain Dew and Pepsi at their ballparks. And the great Chicago Cubs are one of those franchises right there. I'll kind of go through the franchises real quickly here. The Yankees and the Cleveland team, Detroit and Kansas City, Minnesota, Seattle, Tampa Bay, Milwaukee, and Miami Marlins. Now, they they predominantly had Mountain Dew at their ballparks, and once Coca-Cola was named, because they had it there, they can continue that, but they also have Coke there. But every ballpark has Coke, which is the Major League Baseball drink. But the official Let's see. They got a name for the sports drink. Is Gatorade, which is a Pepsi product. So they're baseball, Major League Baseball, covering both bases there. They got Pepsi and Gatorade, and they got Coke and Coca Cola. So I like going to the ballpark, and I prefer ones that have Mountain Dew. And of course, the Cubs and the Royals have that. So that makes me happy right there. So my number four is the great nectar of the gods, Mountain Dew.
Okay. Well, my number four transcends every ballpark I've ever been to, major league, minor leagues.
Oh, hey.
It is simply a brat with kraut on it. I
Oh,
love sauerkraut from a German family. I love sauerkraut. I love brats. I have like three different ways that I make brats on different grills. So I love brats, but I love just to get a brat and just smother it with the sauerkraut. And I no matter what stadium I've got that in, I've never been disappointed in a good old fashioned kraut dog, kraut brat.
oh yeah. I'm with you. You
My
can't
number
go wrong with kraut and mustard. Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Well, I like a good sandwich, and I'm going to promote a few at number three, a sandwich. Barbecue. If you're going to get barbecue, Texas and Kansas City, and they've got their particular, I know Arthur Bryant's, which is huge in Kansas City. They're also at the ballpark. You can get an Arthur Bryant barbecue sandwich there. But the Mets, now I haven't had this, but I've talked to New York fans, and maybe our good friend who watches can help me out. They have a filet mignon sandwich, and I'm sure it's a little on the high dollar side, but just the sound of that. I've got all the ingredients written down, but I wrote it so small and I was hungry at the time. I can't read the thing. My writing's too small. And then the White Sox, I've had this, and I tell you what, corned beef sandwich with a pickle and chips. Their corned beef sandwich, you'll fill up on it, and they won't cheat you out of it, and you'll get your money's worth with that. So my number three is a sandwich, and if you're in Chicago and go to a White Sox game, the Cubs. Will you go over to a White Sox game, or is that sacrilegious?
no,
Can't be.
that I,
Yeah, I'm with you. I love going to the Sox games too, but the corned beef sandwich is worth the trip right there. I'll tell you. So anyway, that's my number three.
well, my number three is also transcends ballparks. It's very simple. I did not see this in the ballpark until like the early 80s, and now it's everywhere. Um, that is just cheese nachos with jalapeno chips.
Oh, you like
And
that?
oh, I love it. I like the loaded nachos. That's a lot of fun to eat. But if I'm just sitting at a ballpark, I want to have a snack before I have something later to eat. First thing I'll order is just nachos with jalapenos and just sit there and spend about an inning and a half eating my nachos, getting cheese on my face, and just being that happy little boy who loves nachos.
That sounds great. Now, my number two is my favorite thing to get at Busch Stadium. I love barbecue. They have a thing called the triple play barbecue a box, and in it you get three different types of barbecue, and it's enough. This is enough to fill you up too. You get pulled pork, big on my thing. You get some brisket and turkey. It's all barbecued. You get a good sample of each, and then you get two cornbread muffins. And I tell you what, it's perfect. You put a little butter on that. You got all that barbecue. I'm making myself hungry here, Vince. I ain't ate supper yet. And you get a not a very generous helping of potato salad. I want a little more potato salad, Cardinals. Up your potato salad game. But let me tell you, you eat that, you have a couple of adult beverages, and you can sit back and it's a great game. No matter what happens, you're going to have a good time.
Well, we are thinking alike because my number two is not exactly, but almost. I love the barbecue brisket sandwich at Busch Stadium. They're delicious, and I love when I have the all-inclusive deals because you get all of it that you want.
Oh, yeah.
They do a great job. Brisket is very tough to make. I've not mastered brisket. The reason I haven't mastered brisket because brisket is expensive and I don't like wasting money. So I don't want to spend $70 on a brisket. I'm going to screw up my father-in-law, my departed father-in-law. He was a master at brisket. But they have just nailed that brisket at the ballpark. And so when I go to Busch Stadium, that's one of the things I like to do is I like to get a good barbecue beef brisket sandwich.
That's good. I'm going open today. I'm going to be eating some brisket up there for sure. Well, Vince, number one, it's a symbolic thing. It's you got to have this at the ballpark. You got to go with the hot dog. All right. Now, when you get in the ballpark, that's the first thing I smell. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, you smell them hot dogs? I mean, they know how to bring you in. You come in there, it's like going to the circus. You smell the popcorn, you smell the hot dogs. And I, like you, Vince, I'm a sauerkraut guy. There's a little lady across the street, and if you can bring a soda in if it's not open, and you can bring food in, and there's a lady right across from the Bush Stan Musial statue, and she's got bratwurst and hot dogs going, and she'll make it how you like, and you can take it into the ballpark. But I always get the one. But I did a little research here, and the number one hot dog they say, and I've done many different little surveys, is the Randy Jones bacon wrap dog. It's not in a bun; it's in a wrap, and it comes with grilled onions and brown mustard. And a lot of people said the Randy Jones. Now, St. Louis has something almost exactly the same, but it's not called Randy Jones. So I'm giving San Diego the upper hand because they've honored one of their all-time greats, the great Randy Jones. So anyway, that's my take, Vince. You got to go with the hot dog, and that's my number one hot dog.
Okay, so we are on the same plane here. I'm looking something up real quick. Uh, Shoot, where to go? Where to go? Oh well. My number one is also the hot dog,
Woo,
but specifically the Wrigley Field hot dog, where
great
they
hot
have
dogs.
all the fixins there where you can make the Chicago Classic out of your dog. I love Chicago Classics. You ever go to Wolfie's off Woodson?
I've been there once. Yes.
Yeah, great classic Chicago classic dogs. There used to be a place, I'm not sure if it's there. There used to be a place when I worked in Chesterfield called Classic Red Hots that had these two. Um, the Wrigley Field dogs, and for some reason I am blanking on the company that has the contract with Wrigley, but it's one of the high end hot dogs. I'm a hot dog snob. I I I I have a particular, I like Nathan's. I like Hebrew National hot dogs.
Oh, top
I,
notch.
Corn King or whatever is not my bag. I want something good.
Those wagon wheel ones, the 48 cents a pack. You're not
Yeah,
getting those.
yeah. So I like the hot dog to get it at Wrigley Field and then just sit there at the tray and put the relish on and the sport peppers on, the tomatoes, the pickle, the celery salt, and the mustard, like I'm a hot dog king, and I just sit there in my seat in Wrigley, get all messy eating that great Chicago classic.
I got to wear a bib for that one.
Awesome. Awesome.
Woo! Well, Vince, before we get to cards, can we draw our second one? We kind of got away from that.
Yes, yes.
All right. This is for the Jose Canseco signed Simpson picture. Yes. And it's authenticated, right? Yeah, right there. It's authenticated. So we had Chad Barner win the Ray Langford autograph card, and the winner of this one is, and I got a name here. Let me check. The name is upside down. Dan Rutledge. Our
Dan,
old friend Dan Rutledge. Hey, how about that?
Dan the
Dan
man.
Rutledge. Yeah. And he likes The Simpsons too. And I think he likes Jose Canseco. So there you go, Dan.
You better now.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that the last one, or you got one more?
I got one more. You want to do it? Might as well.
Let's do the baseball cards, and then we'll finish with that. Okay.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good.
I've got 1992 Fleer.
I have. Actually, this is the first time I went older than you. 1987 Fleer. I have a 1987 Fleer. Hey,
Yeah,
hey.
I like that packaging too.
Yes.
I'll go ahead and get going.
Yes, sir.
Uh, oh, these are some good looking cards. First, guy started an all-star game, started the year
Hey.
12-4, started an all-star game, and then just fell off the table. Former starter pitcher for the Cincinnati Reds, Jack Armstrong.
Oh, yeah. I remember Jack Armstrong. Played with the Marlins, too, I think.
Uh, maybe. I don't have that. Yeah, he finished that year 12-9. So,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, man.
Catcher for the Yankees, Bob Guerin. Remember him?
I don't remember him.
Oh, by the way, I'm going to say two Hall of Famers.
I'll say one. One Hall of Fame.
Okay. I got this is great because he played for 1 year with the Royals when I lived in Kansas City. Um, Former Tiger, former Dodger, World Series hero, Kurt Gibson.
Oh, yeah. I'll think of him going around second base, do the chug-a-lug thing. Oh, yeah, after he hit that one off of Eckersley.
Oh, and one of my favorite players, just a complete character, and also one of the best Steve Berman nicknames, John, I am not a crook. The Phillies, also played for the Padres.
Oh, yeah, good hitter.
Finished his career with the White Sox. He was playing a game, got a hit, went in the dugout, retired. Middle of the game.
That's the way to do it right there.
Yeah. Ooh, former Cub who once had a nightmare that he was being attacked by spiders, and in his nightmare, he injured himself, went on the DL. Also played for the Indians, and also hit a home run on top of the rooftop, Mr. Glenn Allen Hill.
Oh, I didn't know he was the spider guy, the spider
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, playing for the Jays then, I think. League leaders, the ageless wonder. He is still kicking around playing baseball somewhere at the age of 94. Julio Franco, who was
Oh,
the
yeah.
AL batting crown in 1992. Very good. Top prospect for the Dodgers, outfielder Tom Goodwin, decent major league
Yes,
career.
he did. He had a nice career.
Um, Minnesota Twin, also pitched for the Mets, Mr. Terry Leach.
Okay. Don't know much. Don't remember him much.
Here's the man,
Hey.
Ray.
Oh, there he is, Ray Langford. I always, man, he was the captain of our team during the early 90s.
Oh yeah. Uh, Former Angel, also played for the Yankees, I believe. Bounced around a bit. Luis Soho.
Oh, yeah. Played a
Uh,
lot.
oh, really good fourth outfielder for the Astros, Eric Anthony.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, fast guy.
Uh, Former Astro shortstop, and I think he had a stint with the Cubs, if memory serves me correct. Andujar Cedeno.
I think so. I think he was. Yeah.
Uh-oh, the man who replaced the Wizard. Shortstop for the Giants, for the Cardinals, for the Red Sox, Royce Clayton.
Royce Clayton. Jack Buck said he's the only player that ever sent him a Christmas card. I remember him hearing him say that.
Are you serious?
That's what he said on the radio when he talked real highly about Royce Clayton, and he goes, he's the only player that ever sent me a Christmas card. I thought, wow, how about that?
I remember reading Jack Buck's book, and he was talking about a plane trip, and uh, someone asked him what he think they should serve for dinner, and he came up with something that they used to have in the Depression, and the players wasn't having it.
Oh,
It- I
oh,
came like some kind of
uh,
a biscuit thing, and uh, uh, former All Star for the Brewers, World Series hero Jim Gantner.
oh yeah, Katner was good. He moved around, played a few positions. I liked him.
Oh, former Cub, former Pirate, or Orlando Merced.
Oh yeah,
Good bat off the bench. Oh, one of the Perez brothers, not Pascual, but Melito Perez, pitching for the White Sox there.
it was solid. Very good pitcher.
Yep. And no Hall of Famers, but a very good second baseman for the Dodgers at this time. Made his name with the Phillies. Juan Samuel.
Oh yeah,
He also pitched for or played for the Mets, didn't he? Yeah, he played a
I
year for
remember
the
him as a Philly and a Dodger. I remember
longtime Philly, Dodger, and finished with the Mets and the Dodgers. So
stole some. I think he had a couple of years where he stole a lot of bases too.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Vince, I got quite emotional when I got my Ryan Seaver very nice picture with the autographs on it. Well, this weekend I found the 1974 league leaders, and look who led all of baseball in strikeouts that year: Tom Seaver and Nolan Ryan. So there's one more league leader another year they both led, and I'm going to get that and put that in the display with that. So that being said, I just had to show that off. Pretty happy about that. I looked and looked. It was a long journey to find that card, so I got it. So here's my 1987 Fleers, and I start off with a sticker, the old Cleveland Indian mascot right there. And on the back, for some reason, they got the Milwaukee Brewers. So I don't know what that, maybe that peels off too. Not sure. And here comes the players. Vince, you'll remember this guy. I always
Two
thought he had a
Hall of
lot of,
Famers.
oh, 12 famers. I'm gonna say three. I was wrong last time, so I'm up in the game. Jose Rio. You remember him?
Oh, World
Very,
Series hero for the Reds.
yeah, very
Yeah,
nice player. I think he had a long career too.
yeah,
Oh, this guy was always your number two or three in your rotation. Walt Terrell.
yeah.
Very
Detroit.
nice. Yeah, very nice player. That's why, if you ask me about Walt Terrell, that's the team I remember him. Ron Robinson. There was a lot of guys with Robinson in their name, so I'm not sure if that's the one I remember so much. But
I remember Don Robinson had a really good
oh
career.
yeah, with the Pirates, I remember he was a pirate guy. Here's a picture of former MVPs, and I tell you what, two Hall of Famers, Dave Parker and Ryan Sandberg. How about that? Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a nice picture. I tell you what, those two brought me a lot of
They're gonna
heartache and a lot of great memories. Both of those players.
they're gonna see each other this summer. I hope Sandberg goes back into remission, battling the cancer. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool to be at the Hall of Fame with that card and
Oh
say, "Hey,
man.
gentlemen, could you sign this?"
Oh, those are the two guys. If I was a pitcher, I can't let those guys beat me. I'll walk them unintentionally and go to the next guy because both of those guys will beat you, and they have beat the Cardinals many times. Baltimore Oriole Ken Dixon, pitcher
Dinger
right there.
Dixon.
Oh, you remember him?
He
How
gave up like 50 home runs one year, and they started calling him Dinger Dixon.
Dinger Dixon. I like it. How about that? Hey, if you're going to be remembered for something. Um, this is a shortstop for the Yankees, Wayne Tolson, and I kind of remember him.
I remember him.
Few pretty good years. I know he had a long career though. Oh, here we go. Outstanding. A guy we just the Royals rode on his back to a world championship. Brett Saberhagen right there. What a pitcher. I don't think he weighed more than 180 pounds soaking wet. That
Yeah,
dude could
in
pitch.
85, he's like 21 years old. Won the World Series MVP, Cy Young. Just,
Great. I mean, a very nice. Yeah. Oh, this guy, I tell you what, this is the guy got a lot of people out and had a nice career. Bob Ojeda,
oh, yeah.
Red Sox and a Met right there. Big part of their world championship. All right. Oh, this isn't fair. You say Hall of Famers. Well, this is another one of those pictures. But look at this. It says AL pitchers nightmares, and you got Kirby Puckett, Jim Rice, and Jose Canseco right there.
So that's five, five.
Yeah, five Hall of Famers right there. Yeah, but that's not really fair. But I like those pictures of those.
Hey, I would
Oh,
count it.
this is a Montreal Expo, and I like the old Expo team. I love their uniforms. But this guy was up signing, and I didn't get over there and get his autograph. But Al Newman from the Expos right there. How about that? I don't know what stadium that is, but Al looks pretty happy right there. This guy, man, a character guy. Uh, here he is, a Minnesota Twin, Mickey Hatcher.
Oh, yeah.
I remember
And he,
him during rain delays, going out and sliding on the tarp and everything, and or doing Babe Ruth impressions and stuff. Mickey Hatcher.
He was in the middle of that Dodger lineup that won the '88 World Series. That's how weak that lineup was for that World Series. The
It's just magic.
Gibson had one at bat the whole series, hit that pinch hit home run in game one, and they had nothing, and they still beat the mighty Athletics.
Yes, they had Oral Hershiser pitched his just crazy. He was just on fire then. Here's a guy, really good career, but I thought he would be like in the all-time greats when he started out. Ruben Sierra of the Rangers.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
what a player. That guy had it all. Man, he had power, speed, everything. A quality guy. This guy could play on my team anytime, real quality guy. Ed Whitson, and here he is with San Diego. Was he
Pitch
a
for the
Cub at one
Yankees.
time? Was he
I
ever
think
a
it's
Cub?
ever a Cub. I remember when he pitched with the Yankees, they wouldn't let him pitch home games anymore because it got in his head. So
Oh, really?
calling him
I'll
the
be
road.
darned. If you look on the back of his card, he played forever. Look at all
Yeah.
those teams. Yeah. Uh, okay. Dale Weatherman of the Brewers.
Former Cub manager.
Really? I forgot all about that. And my last one is prospects. And it's Mike Stanley of the Rangers and Jerry Brown of the Rangers. Former governor of California, Jerry Brown, right there. Dated Linda Ronstadt.
Yep. Governor Moonbeam.
There he is. Oh. All right, Vince. Before we leave, we got one more to draw for, and I think this is the best one. This is the famous Bash Brother picture. It's authenticated, and it's got Kasenko signed it. And who knows? Maybe if you can hunt down McGuire, he'll sign the other one for you. So I don't think he will. I don't think they're on friendly terms. I'm going to reach in here and let's see who gets that. Oh, John Taylor. I work with him. He's one of the clerks at the front desk. So he'll get that. And he's always coming in and talking about baseball and football. He's a big Kansas City Chief fan, and he's told me what he's going to eat. He's making a big barbecue. He's barbecuing this weekend, getting ready for the game. He's been ready for 2 weeks now, excited about this game. So I get all my football news from him. So he'll be very happy to get that.
Hey, have you ever done any shows at the Platypus?
Twice. I've been to the
Okay.
Platypus twice.
Saturday night, Evelyn's boyfriend, his band is playing there. So
Oh,
Saturday, me and Kath are gonna go listen to him. Uh, really great guy. I've been fortunate. Uh, my oldest is married. I got an awesome son-in-law. You've met him.
great stuff.
Um, Rebecca's got an awesome boyfriend. He's been on the show, big Brewers fan. And Evelyn's boyfriend, Tony, he's just the nicest guy. So we're going to go listen to his band. Plays like uh, kind of college, kind of grunge stuff.
Okay.
He's got his band is called Yuppie, Yuppy, and they're on all the music platforms if you want to check them out if you're into that kind of music.
Very
So
cool.
Saturday we're going to that. Gonna go listen to him play and eat some food and have some drinks there at the Platypus. And then Sunday it's just going to be gluttonous Super Bowl Sunday for us.
Oh, yes. It'll be fun. Commercials are fun. Seeing the stars out in the crowd, you see all kinds of people. Oh my gosh, yeah, Brad Pitt's at the game. I bet we're going to see a couple of pictures of Taylor Swift every time Kelsey makes a block. We got to see her, but that's okay. She's bringing attention. She's welcome too. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, can't wait. So,
Yeah, it's going to be
but
fun.
JJ, you have a good week.
You too, sir.
Next week we will have our spring training type panel thing and get ready for the season.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for joining us.